Spent too much time in California. Now I got that Rona. Gotta be a loner. Staring at my phone. Gotta be a loner.
Gotta be a loner.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back in to the thealoneaviruspodcast. I think my camera's a little askew. Whatever. Wait, maybe I'll try to fix it. Are we askew? I think that's better. You let me know in the comments, like you always do. All two of my viewers. Something in my mouth now. All kinds of problems. I'm well lit though, so that's different. So, for some reason I'm coming directly off looking at, unfortunately looking at comments and things. Did I say comments? This is not going well. Comments that people are making on Facebook. Oh yeah, camera's just going fully down. I was just looking at the nonsense that people are putting on Facebook and Instagram. For some reason, I made a mistake. I've mistaken. And this camera's driving me nuts. I can't... There are still people that think vaccines are, bad, but now there are new reasons. It used to be autism, but that got thrown out the window because the person who originally published that was proven way wrong and lost his license, and then it took a few more years, and people were like, oh, maybe this isn't true. And now people think that vaccines are microchips. People think that they're getting microchipped when they get vaccines, even in this climate where everyone is getting this virus. And this camera thing is nuts. We're in a world where there's a lethal virus outside. We don't know where it is. The only intervention that's going to work whenever it happens is a vaccine, if it happens. And people are still willing to say vaccines are bad. Bill Gates is behind it, and he wants to microchip everybody for some purpose. He wants to Microsoft everybody. It's insane. I bet in a few years people are going to opt for microchips whenever that technology is a thing anyway. People are going to want that for some reason. We already got, devices on our hips and on our wrists. It's just going to become more and more integrated. Anyway, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I just think that's the way technology is going. And people somehow think that everyone's out to get them with this technology that I don't think even exists. But vaccines have saved so many millions of lives, and not even saved it, prevented disease. Most of us probably wouldn't be here if someone before us had not been inoculated for some terrible disease. We are so privileged to not have to look at and know what diseases like polio and the measles and smallpox do to a person. We don't have to know. We live in this amazing world where we can die luxurious deaths from diabetes and heart disease, and just things that are ultimately deaths of wealth if you think about it. People used to die from tuberculosis and the flu way more often, and all kinds of communicable stuff. And oh man, I'm losing it. The camera's going down. And now we're here, and we have this wonderful ability to prevent future generations from getting these viruses. And people are just so stupid and into themselves, and everyone thinks they know better than experts. I don't think anybody should blindly follow anyone. Never. Question everyone. I don't support this government or really any government I've ever lived under. I think it sucks, but that doesn't mean we have to it's too easy to think that there's just this group of people that are out to get us and they're going to get us. It's naive and it's ignorant. I mean, it's just a complete ignorance of really well supported facts. And so that's what I'm thinking about right now. Stupidly, this is what I was looking at, and it's a bummer. I wish people weren't so stupid. But not even that. I wish people just like weren't so confident in their lack of expertise. It's such a strange thing. And then they put it out there for everyone to see. And then some people are like, yeah. And then everybody else is like, why are you doing this? It hurts me. But then you keep reading them, you know. Anyway, I don't want to make this longer than it has to be because we have a wonderful, wonderful conversation with a wonderful man, my friend Jamie, who shares his Alona Corona story with me and now with all of you. Jamie has been kind enough to share his experience from Canada, the Great White North, East, West. He's in Vancouver, Canada, and he is one of the many millions now who unexpectedly lost their jobs, and he is, nice enough and willing and open enough to talk about that. And he's got a good story. He seems like he's doing really well despite all of this. So I'm happy about that, and I was really happy to talk to him. And and you're gonna love him. And everyone's story is unique, so I'm glad to share his and look forward to sharing more. And don't read the comments anywhere. Okay, all right. Here's me and Jamie.
Well, let's get into it. So here we are. Thanks, Jamie, for joining me on the podcast. Jamie is in Canada, and you're the only Canadian, or not Canadian, but the only person within the borders of Canada that I have had on this podcast.
Well, then I'm honored to represent Canada as an American.
Is that what Canada looks like?
Yes, it's we have white walls and we hang our jackets. I don't say A.
Hang my jacket like a real champ. Do people talk like that?
No, not at all.
Maybe that's just
Did you say chap?
Champ. Oh, hey, champ.
Oh, no.
No?
Oh, you betcha. They say like you betcha.
Oh, you betcha, champ.
No, yeah. Oh, the story I've had some really good stories recently.
Tell me a story.
No, we were trying to set up drawful with some people on the island in Victoria.
Uh-huh.
My roommate's sister, and she was like taking a long time. She's like, guys, I'm really sorry. And it was just like so beautiful. It was amazing.
So you live with Canadians?
I live with one Canadian and one Brit. He's from London. She's from Toronto.
And you guys are quarantined pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I don't know what the standing rules are right now for BC, for Vancouver. I assume that we are no, I don't think we're shelter in place. So like I'm going out on runs. We went to a beach along the highway that goes up to Whistler yesterday. It was gorgeous. People are out, but not any more than that, I don't think.
And
like
not
people
really in
are
groups?
No, I mean, you see a lot of people out, but everybody seems to be kind of respecting the keep distance, stay in small groups, like go out with your family and only your family if you're going to go out with people. So I feel like, separate of the shit show that I'm observing from afar down south, up here people seem to be following the rules. Although I'm in like Happy Town part of Vancouver,
Wait, what do you mean down south? You mean the U.S.?
The U.S., yeah.
That's what you call it now?
Yeah, south of the wall. I'm north of the wall.
And what's the vibe like in your house? Are people like freaked out, or?
We're actually, like, the three of us together, we get along really well, and we're actually like doing well. I think each of us alone or separate, have our moments or our half days where like an evening, maybe Alex will just be in a room all night or George will be in his room. Or I rarely have kind of retired to my own quarters in the evenings.
It seems like you're definitely living with
in a
Brit.
mansion.
I have retired to my quarters.
Yeah, but yeah, that sounded pretty funny. I don't know. Like we're just doing. I think we're doing well as a unit, honestly.
And do you guys operate as a unit?
I don't know what that means.
Like, are you guys kind of in it together? Like, as far as going out grocery shopping and that kind of thing, like one person will go, or like you're looking at, or how's that work?
Well, we tried the one person going out last weekend, and it didn't work well. We kind of made a list, and then Alex went out and bought a bunch of stuff and came back, and like as we're unpacking, I'm like, I'm not going to eat any of this stuff. Like, so we kind of just decided, like, all right, listen, like, yeah, it increases exposure, but we're just going to do our own thing when it comes to food, because that's the one thing I think that we don't really. And we'll make dinners and stuff. Like George made us chili last night. I made tacos like a couple nights ago. So we'll do that here and there, but we're not shopping together. And we've all said, okay, it's okay if we all go to the grocery store and get shit.
Mm.
And then, yeah, which, I don't know how safe or unsafe I feel like going out into public. Like BC, the numbers continue to increase, but they're like steady between the 40 to 70 people a day. Like we're not seeing spikes.
Hmm.
I don't know how many total cases we're at yet.
I actually should have. I usually have a big page of notes, but I don't right now. But like,
That's okay.
Our Vancouver or like BC hospitals, is it pretty maxed out or
No,
not at all?
We're I think we're well below capacity right now, primarily, and so Alex is a journalist, so she's kind of tapped into all the local news and stuff. They've canceled all surgeries, so I guess there's a lot of medical capacity because of that. But no, I don't think beds are near capacity. I think we have maybe 2 or 3 primary hospitals in the greater Vancouver area, and I think our city has, like the metropolitan area has like 750,000 people.
Mm.
And there's
so,
like 3 to. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I think there's 3 to 4 major hospitals. So like where I live, Vancouver is all water, and when you get into the city, like it's like East Van and then Vancouver, and then there's a huge waterway that splits the rest of Canada from the southern part of Vancouver, and I live on the North Shore. So there's 2 bridges to get to where I live, North Vancouver. So I think we have 1 major hospital up here, and then maybe there's 2 to 3 in the city.
Hmm. And being that you're not a Canadian citizen, like how does it work with the healthcare system there? I know they have like single payer. It's a single payer system, right?
I don't know what does that mean?
It's like government healthcare. Essentially,
yes,
it's like the government pays for it.
Yes, it is. It is fully government sponsored. I've actually been in an interesting situation trying to figure some things out, because I was actually fired last week or laid off due to COVID among, I think, 30 plus people in my company. So I've been trying to figure out healthcare and what that means for me.
And that's why you moved to Canada for work. So
I came up in September, and
yeah, and you have now joined the COVID cohort of the many
millions and millions of people.
Millions and millions of people who are out of work because of this, just like suddenly, right? Like you just moved up there and you would be, going strong at work, barring anything crazy happening like this.
Trying to.
Yeah. And it's just like super out of the blue and unexpected.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, man.
Well, it was unexpected. It wasn't a good fit for me, this place, and there was some politics going on. So I actually think like I was partly COVID and partly like my boss didn't want me around anymore. And I had already been starting to think about what was next. So for me, like, this wasn't a bad thing for me. Like I was already thinking about moving on at some point. It just wasn't what I expected. It just wasn't the right fit.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you lost your job,
Yeah.
like unexpectedly anyway. But
Yeah.
so what is
Thank you.
that? What is this situation mean? Like, are you kind of stuck? Like, how does that work?
Okay. So for me to work up here, I had to apply for, there's different governing bodies that sponsor foreigners to work. Mine was through the province. So the province of British Columbia sponsored me along with the company I worked for. And it's a process, and then you get your work visa, and it is contingent on, your work is contingent on working for that specific employer. So basically, after I lost my job, after speaking with the company's immigration lawyer, she said, the visa that I have, which is a 2-year visa, is still valid, but it kind of, in the meantime, reverts to just a residency visa. So I am legally allowed to reside in Canada until September of 21. So I'm legally allowed to stay here. For the time being, because the body that sponsored me doesn't know I got let go, I can continue to look for work as long as I can find an employer who's willing to take on the company side of the sponsorship. I don't, in this landscape, I don't have confidence that I'd be able to do that anytime soon.
But you're trying to
and
stay in Canada?
For the time being, yeah.
Would you be
Yeah, for
able
the
to
time.
even come home if you wanted to?
Yeah. I mean, I think most countries right now that are on lockdown won't say no to their citizens unless their citizens are sick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the border would stop me from coming in.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
And this is the interesting spin. Like, I'm figuring out healthcare, and my motivation to stay up. The biggest part of my motivation to stay up here is, one, I believe I continue to have full coverage, even if I'm not employed, which means I don't incur costs. And then at the same time, I do qualify for a $2,000 a month COVID benefit for up to 4 months.
Really?
So, which pretty much dollar for dollar covers my living expenses up here. So I can kind of hang out up here for 4 months and chill out and
Get some
think
relaxed time. Yeah.
Just start at some point thinking about what's next. I don't want to rush into anything.
Yeah. Have you had?
And thankful.
Go ahead.
And thankfully, I'm able to financially do this as well. Like, I can weather the storm for the time being, which a lot of people can't.
Yeah. I think I have a couple questions about what you said, but I'm curious. Have you used the healthcare system at all since you've been there?
No, I don't even know how to go see a doctor. Like, I have no clue. And like when like they went through benefits with the company, like, and they started going through things, like, yeah, it's great for, I think, like, emergency care and basic doctor needs. But it's kind of fuzzy beyond that a little bit. Especially things for,
I've
like,
heard that.
because there's like the MSP, the medical service plan, which is the government plan, and then companies will sponsor like a third party addition that include like massages and acupuncture and naturopath doctors and physiotherapy, things like that, mental health, and those benefits actually are great, but they're very low. It's been interesting, but I have not interacted with the system at all.
Not at all. Okay.
No, not once.
Well, I imagine you could ask your Canadian roommate how that works.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you got plenty of people. If you needed to, you would figure it out pretty easily, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't want to go near a
no, that's the last place you want to be.
Doctor anytime soon.
I know. Yeah, I've been having like some stomach issues, just nothing terrible, but just like weird stuff that I might go see a doctor for normally, but there's no way I would do that right now. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. I've also been trying to figure out some health stuff. And I was like, before this all really started, I was like ready to start jumping in again and start exploring and learning again. And now I can't. So it's like, I just deal with what I got, and
It's diet and exercise for a while.
diet and exercise. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask, so the benefits, those are like sort of the equivalent to unemployment benefits here?
There's two different things here. So there's a COVID specific one that is completely decoupled from unemployment up here.
So
Or
that
they
goes
call it
to
employment.
anybody?
Anybody that has been impacted by COVID financially can apply for this benefit.
Okay.
They don't on the immediate, like you don't have the same requirements on you to get the benefit like you do for unemployment, where you have to show that you're actively pursuing jobs and you know, all of the kind of stuff that you're seeing in the States. Like it has really no stipulations to it, but you have to reapply every 4 weeks.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so those things combine to the $2,000 you were talking about?
No.
So just the COVID.
So the COVID is $500 a month or $500 a week. I believe the max unemployment benefit is like $573 a week.
Okay.
And
So
I don't think you can get both at the same time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't think. Yeah.
Well, I think as far as I understand it now, with everyone filing for unemployment here, you don't have to be actively pursuing other work. I know that
Yeah.
normally you do, but I don't think.
Oh,
right now.
This is like a COVID thing in the States?
Yeah, I applied for unemployment in California, and there was like a whole coronavirus section. That's like if you have even lost hours due to coronavirus, then you are eligible. And it said nothing about like seeking other work or anything. I also have not heard anything back, and I'm not in California, so I don't know if I've gotten anything in the mail. So who knows?
Oh, so you still have not heard back, so you're not collecting unemployment yet?
As far as I know, I'm not.
It's crazy. Like, how does the system go from like maybe a couple 100,000 people max to 10 million people? How do you deal with that?
I don't know, and especially I'm sure that there are plenty of those people in LA or big city.
Like you can't review that volume of material. You just have to like bulk approve people or something. Like, so I am going to probably apply for unemployment in California as well.
In California,
I might be gaming the system or attempt to game the system, but I mean, I've paid in for 15 years of my life. Like I should be able to have this benefit if I need it.
Yeah. Well, let me know how it goes.
Well, here's the funny thing. It's so, because I got the application yesterday, and it was like, if you've lived in another state or Canada in the last 18 months, I have to fill out the form and fax it in.
That's what I did, because I've worked in multiple states in the last however long, so I had to.
Where'd you find a fax machine?
I downloaded a fax app, and I had to pay $10 just to send it in.
Send it to me.
You just look up fax in the App Store. There's a bunch of them, and so you can just like send it to a phone number basically. But I have no idea if it worked because I haven't heard anything back. There's no confirmation. Like, what do I even expect to get? And then so I had to use my local address in Hollywood. So like I have no idea if I got anything in the mail, and my roommate hasn't contacted me. I don't even know if he's still in the apartment or in the world. I have no idea.
He might not be of this world. We don't know. You can say that about everybody right now.
I know. Well, he worked in healthcare, so I thought it was a little bit of a risk living there, but he, for some reason, lost his jobs too, working at a hospital, which I think is crazy, but he's on unemployment and he works in healthcare.
It's so funny, like losing my job last week. it came as a shock to a lot of people that I work with. But like people like can't hate, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, how are you doing? Like, and I get that. Like, so many people, we wrap ourselves up in this thing and what it means to us and provides for us. But like, I don't know. It's like almost a death. Like people kind of approach it like a death. It's just like, guys, I'm okay. Like,
Yeah.
we're all okay. We're all okay, whether we realize it or not. Like,
Yeah, I've been saying that too. I mean, work is definitely not, it's definitely not your identity. It's not mine. It's probably many people's identity though. It's a big part of your life. You know, you spend so much
It
time
is.
doing it, and
it is.
it keeps you able to do so many things. But I mean, I've never had a job that I would cry over. You know, like I don't care about work is like the last thing I care about.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I'm changing my attitudes on that. Like I used to be the full like, you have to be passionate about what you do, and now I'm realizing it's that you don't have to have that to be happy. Like that's what I felt like. Okay, I'll be happy if I find something I'm passionate about, and I'm learning that that's not reality. Yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Yeah, that's okay. I think it almost the opposite, the reciprocal almost makes sense. Like
Mhm.
not if you find what did you say? if you're passionate about your
Like if you
work.
like it's like the like, if I have this, then I have that. Like if I find this career that I'm passionate about, I will find happiness along with it. And
Oh
like,
yeah. I forget what my thought was, but I feel like the passion is more that what makes you happy, and it doesn't necessarily need to be coupled with a job or not.
Yeah.
So many
I
people,
don't know.
I just don't ever want to be one of those people that has a job just to survive. And I've made it a point not to. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's been difficult, but I think I'm happier.
Yeah, you're a hustler, man. And it feels when I'm around you or when I talk to you that you're happy. So good on you.
Well, thanks. But you too. And you've been working for a long time. So they're not mutually exclusive or associated or you know, all of a sudden I lost my ability to talk, but that's great for a podcast.
You're still dusting the cop, but you're taking your training wheels off. This is your first podcast series ever, correct? But you've been on podcasts.
No, I've done this is my third technically, but they're all kind of like, this is the only one that has an end in sight. Like as soon as the quarantine stuff is over, I don't see how I could continue doing this. I don't even see how I could continue doing this from California. Like I don't even have a setup and I can't talk loud in my apartment. So I don't even think I want to do it, but it's a good project for me here. And it's also, I don't know, I think it's insightful to just kind of share what's going on in the world. I talked to my friend in Bulgaria. Like nobody's talking about Bulgaria right now, but he's in quarantine and it's like super weird for him too. You know, it's just like such a worldwide thing. I talked to our friend Jason in Japan, and I just put that one out today, and you know, they're not even in quarantine. It's just like a bizarre world
in Japan. Yeah. I was going to say, like, is this a point in history or in time where we as humanity share one thing in common, and that is quarantine? But I guess we're not there yet. Like, you can't say the whole world is in quarantine, especially when you're seeing like Turkmenistan like arresting people for talking about it. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah, we're not sharing the quarantine, but we're definitely sharing something. We are all afraid of the same thing right now.
Yeah.
And whether or not we're handling it the same way, that's, you know, that differs a little bit. Quarantine is pretty widespread right now.
But how afraid do you think 22-year-olds on Daytona Beach, Florida are during spring break?
I don't mean we as in every individual. I just
No,
mean we
I know.
as in populations, and
I'm joking.
it's the
Yeah, I agree.
the focus of news and conversation everywhere in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
pretty
definitely, and
fucking wild.
I'm trying to document something. Like, we're gonna forget what this was like in a couple of years, most likely.
Yeah,
You know, like,
absolutely. Do you believe that society will be different moving out of this?
yeah, I do. And I think directly coming out of this, whatever that means, I think as cases begin to decline worldwide, I think there's still going to be a wariness for big groups and social gatherings and things like
Yeah,
that. I
it
think,
breaks my heart.
yeah, I think at least until there's a vaccine that's like, okay, we're all immune to this now, we don't have to worry about it. And that day may never come, but it also might come next year or whatever. Or maybe there's a great treatment. There's a home run treatment that it's like, well, you can still get it, but if you do, you know, you pop these pills for 5 days and then you're fine. Like,
Yeah,
not a big deal. But I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. So I think as we get out of this initial state of pandemic worldwide, I think that there's still going to be like, okay, there's still a possibility that this could come back. So we have to be careful. You're going to see a lot of people wearing masks. A lot of industries are going to suffer. Like, people aren't going to be going out to eat as much. People aren't going to be going to sporting events, live shows, that kind of thing for a while. At least
Yeah.
that's my prediction. And I think it makes sense. So people are going to have to adapt, and people who work in those industries are going to have to adapt as well, figure something out. I think things are going to be different for a while.
yeah, yeah. I do too. It breaks my heart. And I like at this point, like you know, I've gone through the could it have been different thought experiment many times in my head, and I actually like it was inevitable. We knew it. We knew we weren't prepared. People had been saying it for years, and then it came. And
There's plenty of evidence that we weren't prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty inevitable. They say, you know, something around every 100 years, and we're due.
Yeah. And this was, yeah, what, 1918 was 102 years ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we weren't prepared, you know, 10 years ago, but we're even less prepared now than we were 10 years ago. And it's just, I think you're right. I think it was inevitable. And also, we have all this technology now that it just seems so violently different. But like, people have done this before. Social distancing, I thought that was a term that was coined, you know, this time around. But like, they use
This time
social
around?
distancing during the Spanish flu. Yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
what it was. You know, people have been in quarantine forever. It's like just how you deal with these situations. And it seems absolutely crazy and unpredictable, unprecedented that we are in this position, this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've
it's not.
also had many episodes of excitement. Like, holy shit! Like, look at what we're living through right now. Like this. I don't know if you can compare it to a world war yet. I don't know. I don't know if it is comparable in that way. But like, what an event to be alive and awake for. And like, look at the political landscape of the United States during it. Like, holy fucking shit! It's like the perfect goddamn storm.
I know. And can you imagine if it was like a couple months earlier, before like the Democratic primaries had started? I feel like it would be even more different.
I agree. Like, if different in that like,
Bernie would have looked real good.
yeah.
I mean, he does look real good right now.
Compared to a guy who can't get his thoughts straight. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
In Biden, and not Trump, and Biden, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do have questions that I ask every guest, the standardized questions, and we can continue talking about whatever afterwards if you have more that you want to say. But these are the questions. You answer them however you want. If you were not in quarantine right now, what do you think you would be doing? Well, let's say it's Monday afternoon, right?
So like right now, today at 3:30.
Yeah. What do you think you'd be doing?
I'd either be in a meeting or at my desk, plugging away, trying to figure out how to bring some clarity amongst chaos at the company that I was at.
Yeah.
And how to manage the politics at the same time. Yeah, I mean, life would be normal. Monday night, I'd probably finish 5:30 or 6, maybe walk across the street. There's a climbing gym across the street from where I work. Go for a quick little session, or the weather's starting to turn nice. Like the last 2 days have been gorgeous. So maybe ride some trail, some mountain bike on the North Shore. I'd be outside somewhere probably.
That's what you wish you were doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like the freedom to choose who I want to see or go on a ride with or not see. Like right now, we only have the choice really who we don't want to see. If you think about it, like we're confined in a house with people. Technically, we're only supposed to see those people.
Uh-huh.
So I don't even have the people outside of my home isn't even an option physically. So the only choice that I get is whether I see my roommates or not.
Okay.
Makes sense in my head.
Yeah. Are you seeing me right now? Does that
I do
not
see
count?
you, but this is different. Is this different? Is this the same? I don't know.
I don't know. Do you think Zoom created this virus?
No, what it was 5G, dude.
Oh, what? I'm just
I don't
like,
even know.
apparently there's a thing where in LA, especially,
Uh-huh.
they kind of like secretly use this time to put up all these 5G cell phone towers that we're supposed to be like, oh, you can't, we're under the guise of, no, not even a guise. It's just like everyone's home. Let's do this in secret so nobody can tell. And apparently 5G is somehow connected to the spread of this virus, or it like knocks your immune system down to a place that makes you susceptible. I don't even understand what the conspiracy is supposed to be. It doesn't make sense to me, but
I guess
the bees are dying too, Jamie.
Oh God. Well, the bees are dying, and that's a big fucking problem. We could talk about that.
5G
Paul
equals,
Stamets is going to save the world.
but I don't know if you realize this. 5G equals 5 bees dead.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
It's not that good. All right. Second question.
Yes.
How do I usually order this? All right. Second question will be, what good do you think will come out of this whole situation?
Okay, a few things came to mind. I think it's making people, I think affluent society, the society that you and I live in, we as a whole or on the aggregate are starting to live way beyond our means. Our governments are, we personally are. And I think with the fucking rug being pulled out from millions and millions of people, I think it's going to cause a lot of people to take a long look at what we value in terms of saving money, social interactions, like all of these things that we take for granted, or the lifestyles we've created in this consumerism world, and I think hopefully we start realizing the value of things more, and strive to acknowledge that moving forward. So like being smarter with money, really valuing the time we have with people. Like if I go out for a drink with some friends, like that's a luxury that a lot of people on this planet don't have, and we take that for granted. So at least like I hope that people start realizing that more, because it's been taken away from us in a way, and I think it's super important for the general wellness of the world to start realizing that and being thankful for what we do have. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Reassess values,
Yeah.
get some perspective. Yeah, I agree. Did you have more to add, or
I don't know.
that?
I think
You don't have to. I just thought it looked like you did in your face.
in my face.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okay. What do you fear most coming out of this situation?
Coming out or being in? What-
Yeah, either one. However you want to answer.
Okay. Well, obviously, do my health problems put me at risk? That's been a fear that's come and gone, and like I definitely have taken a long look into mortality. I think more at this point in my life than any other point. For me, for my parents, for the people that I love, and then that's just the value thing. The value gets back to the value thing too. Like, so I'm afraid of getting sick and the ones that I love getting sick, but I also feel like I have a pretty liberal stance on death and understand that it's just a part of life, and it's something I can't control as much as I want to think we can. The question was, what am I afraid of coming out of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am afraid that it is going to kind of tear the fabric of how we interact socially, or we won't get all the freedoms and liberties back that we had before all this, and it will, like, more so like that back of the mind fear, whether that's always there moving forward, or will there be a point where it's not a thought anymore, and we are back into just being in the world and not having to walk around people at the grocery store or wash your hands as much as you should. It's freedom. It's losing freedom in so many different ways. Like, yeah. So biggest fear is fear of losing freedoms in so many ways.
It's been interesting to talk to people and hear them answer that question. And it's so interesting how several people have said they hope things don't get back to normal. And then other people say, I hope things get back to normal. You know, it's like, but they mean very different things. Like, people don't want things to get back to normal in the sense that they don't want to just return to this like consumerist, again, going back to the values, like you mentioned, like they want those things to change, but everyone does seem to be afraid that the way we interact and the way we're together is different. And you know, so many companies and workplaces are talking about like, oh, we could have been doing remote work this whole time. Let's just move to that. And I mean, does that feel weird to you? Do you think it's important to
like,
go
is
to work?
Yes. For me personally, yes. Like I have these shower thoughts all the time. Like, one recent one was like, is this the beginning of our long process towards like a Ready Player One reality?
I didn't see it.
Or even a Matrix reality, like similar but different. And maybe that step had already happened 50 years ago, for all I know. But like, is this actually a step along the way towards that dystopia? I don't know, but it's really interesting to think about.
Would you have
Because
judged me if I said I didn't see The Matrix either?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't care.
All right.
Like,
Sorry.
oh man, that sparks some thoughts and memories, but that's for another time.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The last question, and you can answer this one however you want, is how long can you go with this quarantine? Like, what do you think?
Before I answer that question,
Yeah.
I want to talk about religion and the coronavirus.
Before you answer the
Yeah.
question?
No, after I answer the question. But I didn't want to lose
okay.
that
Okay.
that thought.
Okay.
How long can I go?
Like, are you
Honestly,
thriving or can you not wait to get out?
I'm thriving.
Okay.
And I'm doing really well. And I think that has more to do with like the emotional self-work that I've done in the last few years to become who I am, and the resilience that I've gotten from it. And I'm really kind of enjoying this. Or not even like, not that I'm enjoying what's happening, like I'm just okay with it. Like I get up, even like I don't have a job right now. I could be in pajamas in my bed hating life or not. Like, what's the fucking point for feeling sorry for yourself? This is the reality we're in, so let's mourn the loss, get over it, and be in this day. Like, and that's what I've been telling my roommates, like, because they get triggered here and there, and I'm like, guys, just try and be in this day. Like, if you look at it as a big thing on the whole, yes, it is fucking overwhelming. Like, oh my God, we've been in quarantine now. This is our 4th week. People are dying all over the world, and there's no sight. You know, there's no end in sight. If you continue to choose to focus on that, that's your reality. That's what you're creating. But like, be in this day. So to get back to your question, I mean, I'm sure there's a point where I'm like, all right, I'm ready to like fucking hang out with somebody. But I think I could do this for a while. And like, I live in a playground. Like, there's mountains behind my house. We were on a beach yesterday overlooking the House Sound, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world, like with nobody near us. So I'm lucky in that way.
Yeah.
And we are still allowed to go outside and whatnot. Yeah.
It's a good answer. I also feel that way. I feel like I'm so sorry about the state of the world, but I myself am doing really well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have likened it to Pauly Shore in Jury Duty, where he just tries to keep the thing going on as long as possible because he's got the nice setup at the hotel. He's in the suite, and he keeps like voting against everybody else in the jury. So he's just like, no. And it's just like a really obvious case that the guy did it or whatever. And he's just like, nah. And he's just making it go on for longer than it has to.
When you saw him in LA, did you go back and be like, all right, I got to watch all his movies again? Like I just have to.
I watched Biodome again, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. Jury Duty, Biodome. What was the farm one? There was one on him on a farm.
Son-in-Law, Encino Man.
Yep.
I think he had a 5-picture deal.
Yeah, probably. No, but I agree with you. Well, and my mood definitely ebbs with how much I'm consuming in terms of information. You know, if I'm on my cell phone reading so much shit and all this, like, my heart fucking breaks for the world right now. Like, I can't handle it sometimes, how bad things are, even beyond coronavirus. It just fucking breaks my heart. But like, that's again a choice. Like, we all have a choice on how we handle this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you wanted to talk something about religion.
What one of the questions you asked was like, what will we lose or gain, or how will things be different? Or we kind of talked about that a little bit, and I wonder, like, religiously, if religion, like, if this is another beginning of solidifying religion even more, or like separating us, and like those that believe will like grab onto religion stronger, or like will they see things happening in the world that more so point to religion, I'm not saying faith, religion failing them.
That's so interesting that you bring that up, because I just earlier today had this thought that was like, if I had made it to this age as a believer in God, I think this situation would have turned me around. Not turned me around, but like made me probably stop.
Because of anger, or because of information? Why? Like, because of seeing, because like you're of course we're seeing like singular situations, but like you're seeing the pastors like saying like, we're gonna use the wind of God to blow this virus away. Like,
I forget what brought me to that thought exactly, but let me try to think about it. It's definitely not the like. There's always going to be people that are like, oh, this is all in God's plan, which is like, you can't really say anything to that argument. It's just like, okay, if that's what you think, like I can't argue with that because it's just based on your opinion. But there was, man, I really wish there was like just the information and like the state, because viruses particularly, and I think we were talking about this the other day, are just so like, they're just built to just take over your biology, and it's just like a very crude but like violent thing. And if you
it's interesting. So you're a non-believer, yes?
Yeah.
You just used the word built.
Well, that's fair enough, and
I'm just saying it's peculiar, or curious that like, and I would say a lot of non-believers would say the exact same thing you're saying and not connect that to some sort of thing or creator. Yeah.
So
I thought it was interesting.
I do have an issue when people use the word creatures, like all creatures, even if they're saying not saying like all God's creatures. They're just like, any creature, because that implies like they were created by something.
Creator. Yeah, I never connected the word creator to creature.
But built, I think, isn't as strict in my head, because it's like biology can build something, like our genes built, like my genes built my body in a very real way. So I don't think that implies like some external force necessarily, but it's a fair point. I don't know who built viruses, but like I think they just came together in the primordial soup, as we call it in biology.
And like when we were talking about what a virus is and whatnot, like it's amazing to me that it's not considered a living thing or an intelligent with intelligence. And yet, as you're reading through the protein layers or whatever, and these are each programmed to do a specific thing, and like, how does that happen if this thing is not living or intelligent? Like it just puts me at awe. Like I am at awe in so many ways right now with this whole fucking thing.
You can't look at it as it is now. You have to look at it as like a line of mistakes, basically, or like a line of evolution and improvements, because that's what evolution essentially is as things replicate, there is a mechanism for making mistakes kind of built in that has survived, because those mistakes, though most of them either make that organism less viable or have no effect. Sometimes a mistake, given the context of what's around them, the environment, sometimes those mistakes will just happen to make that thing better at surviving. So that those things, that one thing with the mistake is then more likely to reproduce that mistake, and everything's just built from there. And so this viruses are the same in that they evolve because they have, genetic material just like organisms do. So they are subject to the force of evolution in that same way because they reproduce in an environment. So you can't look at it like, oh, wow, look at this amazing thing. And I think a lot of people that do believe in like creation make that mistake, is like, look at you, like nobody can, this isn't just like, we can't come from a monkey. Like, look at what this is. It's this amazing magical creature or whatever. And I'm just like, well, you're taking it out of context, and that's why it doesn't make sense. And you kind of have to look at the virus the same way. Anyway, tangent.
No, it's a good tangent. It's interesting.
I want you to tell me, if you can, about the thing you were telling us about the Vancouver tradition of clapping for healthcare workers.
Oh, okay. So has that caught on in the States? Have you seen it or heard of it anywhere?
No.
Wow. Okay, so I'd say now 2.5 to 3, the first week of quarantine, true quarantine, near the end, some news articles got written about this thing that people were starting to do in downtown Vancouver in the high rises at 7:00 every night, which is when the healthcare workers changed shifts. Everybody was going out onto their balconies, clapping, cheering, banging pots and pans, just kind of in honor, to honor those that are on the front lines right now for everybody. And we like, Alex showed us in the house, and then I think it was that night, we were like, fuck it, let's do it. So we went outside, and our next door, we live in a building of 6 units next to each other, and then there's another house with 6 units, and it's like kind of like that. And it was us, and then a wife and her 2 kids were outside too doing it. So we did it. We banged away. Oh yeah, and it felt weird because it was just like us. We kept doing it every night, and I would say 2 weeks later, like, I don't need, because I would set a phone reminder at 6:59 to go outside. You don't need to set it anymore. Like, the whole fucking neighborhood is just going off at 7:00, cheering for the healthcare workers, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
And can you see healthcare workers like changing the shifts? Is this in your line of sight, or is it just like symbolic?
It's symbolic. It's definitely symbolic. Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's heartwarming.
It gives me hope for humanity, because lately I haven't had a lot of hope for humanity.
That is nice. And I did want to bring it back around in case that was the end. I don't know. Do you have anything more to add?
Not really. This is a fucking wild ride, man.
Yeah. And you're doing well? Everything, like, are you low stress?
Honestly,
like, you feel good?
I feel fucking great. So
good.
it's I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Of course. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
This is fun.
Cool.
Spent too much time in California. Now I'm in Pennsylvania.